Interpurchase time is time between two successive purchases, between the time of the last purchase and the time of the recent purchase. For example, if a customer bought the 3rd of December, so if he bought the 1st of December, interpurchase time would be 2 days. And clearly, the shorter the interpurchase time, everything's equal, the more loyal a customer will be, or the more active a customer will be. Short interpurchase times are a sign of high activity. A customer who has a long interpurchase time, 4 weeks for example, and he buys for 1,000 euros, or a customer who buys every day for 30 euros a month, or 31 euros. So that is why the indicator interpurchase time is not very relevant alone standing. So you have to consider it together with other indicators such as the purchase amount, the purchase frequency, relationship duration, to have a picture. All these indicators you see I'm showing to you can be measured on the individual level, but you never consider them alone. You will have to look to different indicators to have a picture about the customer loyalty. The retention rate, so the number of customers buying in T divided by the customers buying in T minus 1, and the defection or churn rate is 1 minus the retention rate. These records come from the internal database. Retention rate is rate of customers who are still active in one period, in the actual period, compared to the precedent period. In other words, you compare your database or your customer portfolio and you're looking at the customers being active today versus the customers being active in the precedent period. Up to you to define the time period. In grocery retail, you would say probably a monthly basis, because customers buy several times a month. If you take the example of a car purchase, the observation period would be much longer, because you don't buy a car every week, every month, neither every year. So you would probably compare, let's say, the last 5 years, the customers who are active or were active the last 5 years versus customers who are active today. But let's take a more realistic example. Let's take the example of an e-commerce merchant or a grocery retailer. The observation period might be a month or the last 6 months. So we can compare 2 times a year. For example, the first 6 months versus the second 6 months. So from January to June and July to December. You look how many customers were in your database from January to June. Let's say 1 million. And you look from July to December, how many of my 1 million customers are still active in my database? Let's say, to make it easy, 500,000. You divide 500,000 by 1 million, and your retention rate is then 50%. So 50% of your customers are still active. This is the retention rate. This is the proportion of customers who are loyal from one period to another. In my example, the retention rate is low. Because if you lose in 1 year 50% of your customers, you have a big problem. I talked about the bucket that is leaking. Then you have a big hole where you lose a lot of water or a lot of customers. Then the problem is really to understand why these customers defect. The retention rate should be close to 100%. On the other hand, defection rate is the opposite. So 100 minus the retention rate is the defection rate, or you can call it also churn. Churn rate is the defection. The more the churn rate is close to 0, the better it is. If you see that your retention rate is high, you're doing a good job in terms of loyalty marketing. If you see that your retention rate is decreasing from one period to another one, then you have to do something. Then you have to understand, first of all, what is happening. Why customers are leaving. Is it a question of perceived value? Do the products have problems? Does the service have a problem? Or is the relationship a problem? Are they satisfied for the service, products and relationships? Is it a question of trust? So then you have to do your analytics. Then you might do personal phone calls to customers who have defect, because you know which customer has defect. And that's why we come back to this framework. If you're a mobile phone provider, you generally don't wait until the customer defects. You will contact customers close to the defection rate, the end of the contract, let's say 1 to 2 months before, to offer them a new offer to stay loyal. Or you're doing loyalty marketing all the time. That is, you might raise up a loyalty program to make him loyal. or whenever he is interacting with you, he calls you, and you are offering him perfect service in order to make him loyal. You stay loyal because the relationship is good all over the time. But if critical moments are repeated, then the relationship will end. In the grocery retail, it's also a question of continuous loyalty marketing. With loyalty programs, again with service provision, with customer caring. So all these tools are used to make the customers loyal. And if you see that actually this customer is inactive, it's a dormant customer, you might try to do customer reactivation. This means that if you think that the customer is valid, then you might contact this customer in order to understand why he or she does not purchase anymore. Then you will see either he moved, either he is dead, either he is dissatisfied, either he has found a new provider where he is doing his purchases, and you can try to convince him to stay loyal. This is one-to-one. There will be algorithms, there's artificial intelligence that will show you the customers in danger of defection, to which you have to do loyalty marketing. They will calculate customers who are worthwhile to do, make this customer loyal. You have assets which generate cash flow, which have potential, and according to the cash flow and the potential, you will keep them or you will abandon them.
This brings me back to the term customer centricity. Reactivation means that looking at the overall customer lifetime value or CLV and concentrating efforts on those customer segments that are most valuable and interesting to optimize profit. This means that customer reactivation should be done for customers having a high customer lifetime value. That is, those 15 to 13% of customers generating 18% of the turnover. And this means also customers which have low customer lifetime value. That is, the 80% that generate only 20% of the customer lifetime value of the revenues should not be reactivated and should even be abandoned.